Okay, so this building is the old Milwaukee Road depot, Chicago-Milwaukee St. Paul Pacific Railroad. Now you're maybe wondering, where were the tracks for this? No, they weren't up on the street. They ran right here. This trail now stands. Used to be an old, large trestle. The railroad came across that trestle and trains stopped right here. So here we have an old Northern Pacific Railroad trestle crossing the Snohomish River. Beyond that, just barely, you can see the old Great Northern line, now being SF, which is still active. I'm still standing on the old Milwaukee Road line. This line went up to about 1938 or 1939 when most of it washed out, and Milwaukee just ended up borrowing Great Northern's tracks into Everett's. This is looking east. This line would have run to Monroe and then turned south towards Carnation. This is looking west. This line would have run all the way to Everett, stopping right about where Everett Station is now. So here we are looking west towards Everett at the end of the waterfront path, the old Milwaukee Road grade. From here, Milwaukee passed under the trestle of the Northern Pacific, right about in that general direction, and hit out on its own grade towards Monroe, until again 1938 or 1939, when it ended up just borrowing Great Northern's track all the way into Everett. So they're just fading over the distance, or loud and clear, is a BNSF train running on the old Great Northern line across Snohomish. I'm currently standing on the entrance to the old Northern Pacific trestle across the Snohomish River. This track actually continues for several blocks north. It's been torn up at the crossings, but the track is still intact for quite a ways. There's another shot of the old truss span of the Northern Pacific Bridge, taken obviously through the chain link fence. We'll not go any farther because that is not only illegal, it's dangerous and quite stupid. Here we are looking north again towards the, well actually at the Northern Pacific line, headed north until I think about Granite Falls. The interesting thing about this section of the line is that the Centennial Trail was not built on its grade, but right next to it, thus leaving the track in place for the most part and a little undisturbed. Kind of a nice change to keep the history right next to the modern form of transportation instead of actually tearing it up. Just another note, I find walking old abandoned tracks much more interesting than walking on a blacktop path. Here's another example of the track looking north, one block up from the last shot. Brand new buildings on the right, old historic track on the left. There has been talk about getting a dinner train up here, but in my regard, at least in my opinion, I don't really believe that's going to happen. I don't think the neighbors would be too fond of it. Okay, here's another section of the track. Here's not so much the track that's interesting. The garage door right across from it. Last I saw this garage door is a little faded. Looks like the owner has just repainted it, and it is looking splendid. It's got to be the coolest garage door I've ever seen. Now here we've come to a part where the Centennial Trail has not been connected to its northern end. That little blue sign there alerts users and locals that the Centennial Trail will soon be built there, which I find quite sad since the track is still there, I believe. Interestingly enough, right next to it we still have an old no trespassing sign by the Burlington Northern. Kind of odd history that these two signs still coexist. Now here's an interesting find. Don't know what these are from, but it's like a couple of old leaf springs along the track. Don't know if these are just from old cars that have been dumped here, or they're actually from a railroad car or something. I have no idea.